So before I get to my question, the demographic that we surveyed, the majority of them, over half, were 18 to 28. The other big portion, 33%, was 45 to 60. So I'm assuming that's a lot of like our parents or our friends' parents or things like that. There is small slivers of like 61 and over, 29 to 44, and under 18, but the majority are 18 to 28. So why that's important is because when we're looking at the question, do you think your political party has your best interests? 43% said yes, 39.6% said no. Some said neither party have the general public's interest. Some said for the best interest of the USA. Some said for the most part. Some said I don't think it could be this simplified. Some said not with every decision made, and some said America first. So a lot of these were smaller portions, so especially these longer responses, they were smaller portions. But what we're looking at is the majority said yes. So a lot of these people and these 18 to 28 year olds, we're taking half of, our surveyed people, about 18 to 28, think that the political party has their best interests. So that's going over and thinking your Republican or Democratic Party is doing things for your interest, not for the interest of themselves, the political party, or the government. Now we can also see that about 40% said no. So 40% saying no means that they don't agree with that. They think that they're doing the political party, Republican, Democratic, are doing it for other interests, not themselves.
Should the government be allowed to monitor or censor artistic or cultural expression that may be considered offensive? We asked people to answer on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree, 5 being strongly agree. And from those 48 responses we've gotten, 17 of those strongly disagreed, while only 2 of those strongly agreed. And the rest of the responses kind of fell into the middle, as you can see, 16 being slightly disagree, 10 being neutral, 3 being slightly agree. And I feel like this question was really interesting as, for example, some recent events like Jimmy Kimmel's show being taken live off air due to some comments he made.
One of the questions we polled people on was whether people should be able to protest any subject matters, including maybe more controversial beliefs that tend to be more disagreeable in society, and whether it's okay to actually, express those in a peaceful manner. Now, obviously, excluding criminal behaviors, but, expressing beliefs that maybe can be more controversial or disagreeable. Is it okay to express that freely? When analyzing this question, we looked at 2 demographics. We looked at whether people had been to a protest, and we looked at people's ages. And if people had been to a protest, there was no trend within the question. It was pretty much split down the middle, whether they agreed or disagreed. It was all the same answer. However, when you look at people's ages, while most people tended to agree with the question or strongly agree, saying that yes, people should be able to protest anything, as people began to disagree, the people who did disagree or were more neutral tended to be younger, in the ages of 18 to 28, and people that were older, like 45 and over, tended to not disagree in comparison to the younger people. I think this happens for a lot of reasons, but I think the main reason is that older people grew up in a different time with less social media and less, outside influences, where they were taught politics in a way where it was just constitutionally based, and so that's why they're saying that because the Constitution says this is the rules. Where in comparison, younger people are getting their opinions from social media, and younger people tend to use social media more, and that's how they're growing up, and that's how they're building their ideals from. And so I think that's why you tend to see them having more nuanced arguments, maybe disagreeing with these things, and maybe wanting to have protests be more politically correct in a way.
So the main reason we took our poll is to answer the question is, should we limit people's freedom of expression in different environments? And I think that you'll notice from the poll is while people did disagree in times where we're more neutral in terms of protesting, in general, people agreed that you should be able to protest wherever you want, even if that tends to be controversial, because I think people really value freedom of expression in America, and it's, the foundations of this country. And so I think I certainly agree that freedom of expression should not be limited, and that people should be able to discuss whatever they want in a peaceful manner.
Freedom of expression includes the right to share false or misleading information. The answer to this is not straightforward. Some people believe that the Constitution would never openly encourage people to, lie. But others say that people can say whatever they want, and it's up to the consumers of the information to deduce what is truth and what is not. Regardless, let's see what our respondents said, because there are some very interesting trends. Across our 48 responses, nearly 27 disagreed in some sense with the statement, while only 12 agreed with it. The rest stayed neutral. The results become even more interesting when you break them down by respondents who have been to a protest versus respondents who have not been to a protest. On the protest side, the responses are spread out much more evenly, with nearly 25% of the total response saying, yes, I think this statement is correct. But on the other side, people who have not been to a protest tend to disagree with this statement a lot more.
For my part, the question I have is, does the government have control over your entertainment? This question has 5 answers, ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Out of 48 people, the answers we got were that 14 answered strongly disagree, 8 answered disagree, 11 answered neutral, 8 answered agree, and 7 answered strongly agree. Out of those who answered more on the negative side, they had a higher percentage of people who were at a protest, strongly negative having 57%, and negative had 54%. On the agreeing side though, there's a higher percentage of being bored in the United States. For strongly agree, the percentage was at 100%, and for agree, the percentage was at 87.5%. This was a very interesting question to propose. With Jimmy Kimmel's show being taken down by the government had direct action in controlling our entertainment and the knowledge we gain. Granted, it's very minor knowledge, but it shows the government has some control over the entertainment industry. The reason why the government took down the show was due to Jimmy Kimmel talking about Charlie Kirk's death, which the government did not like. I think that he shouldn't have talked about Kirk, but the government should not have used its authority to control entertainment by blackmailing the company in charge.
After looking through all these topic questions and all these demographics and where people are from and how this affects their answer, in the end it's pretty simple. Is regardless of where someone's from, whether they're American citizen, whether they've been to a protest, how old they are, all these don't matter. And in the end, people tend to agree that regardless of someone's opinion, they should be able to voice it in a peaceful manner. And so to answer the question is, should freedom of speech or freedom of expression be limited in certain environments or maybe certain beliefs? The short answer is no. People want a voice and people want to be able to share their opinions, whether it's through art, music, protesting. There's many ways to voice those things, but people want a voice, and so it's pretty simple as no. People shouldn't be limited, obviously excluding violent acts. People want to share their opinions.